What if I told you that the story of the wise men you know is incomplete? That there weren't actually 3, but 4 wise men who set out following that star, and that the 4th one never made it to the manger? What I'm about to tell you today will forever change your view of Christmas. Tradition has taught us for centuries that 3 wise men arrived in Bethlehem carrying gold, frankincense, and myrrh: Melchor, Gaspar, and Baltasar. Their names are engraved in our collective memory. But there exists an ancient legend, almost forgotten, that speaks of a 4th king. His name was Artaban. This story, transmitted through ancient texts and Eastern traditions, tells us about the most extraordinary journey ever told. A journey that lasted 33 years. A journey where each step was filled with impossible decisions between following a star or following your heart. Today, we're going to unravel this mystery together. Get ready, because what's coming will surprise you. Artaban was a Persian sage, an astronomer and scholar respected throughout Mesopotamia. Like the other wise men, he had studied the ancient prophecies about the birth of a king who would bring light to the world. When the star appeared in the heavens, he knew the moment had arrived. Artaban sold all his possessions, everything: his house, his lands, his ancient books. With that money, he bought 3 priceless precious stones: a sapphire blue as the ocean, a ruby red as fire, and a pearl perfect as the full moon. These would be his gifts for the newborn king. He arranged to meet the other 3 magi in the desert, at a specific point, on an exact date. The plan was clear. They would travel together following the star to Bethlehem. But destiny had other plans for Artaban. What happened on the way to that meeting would define not only his journey, but the very meaning of what it means to seek the divine. Because sometimes the path to God takes us on routes we never imagined. While Artaban rode hastily toward the meeting point, he came across a man lying by the side of the road. He was gravely ill, on the verge of death, abandoned by everyone. Artaban stopped. He looked toward the horizon. He knew that if he delayed, he would miss the caravan of the other magi. But that man would die if he didn't receive immediate help. In that moment, Artaban made the first of many decisions that would mark his destiny. He stayed. He cared for the sick man for days, used his medical knowledge, and gave him water and food. And to pay for the necessary care and the inn where he left him recovering, he gave away the sapphire, his first precious stone, his first gift for the king. When he could finally continue, the other 3 magi had already departed. Artaban was alone. He followed the star on his own, but always arrived late. When he reached Bethlehem, the Holy Family had already fled to Egypt, escaping the massacre ordered by Herod. The streets were filled with laments. Mothers were weeping for their murdered children. Artaban heard screams of terror coming from a nearby house. Herod's soldiers were searching for babies to execute the king's order. Without thinking twice, he entered that house where a terrified mother was hiding her little son. The soldiers arrived at the door. Artaban, with his imposing presence and his noble Persian attire, planted himself in front of them. And he offered them the ruby, the second precious stone, the most valuable of all. The soldiers took the jewel and left. The child was saved. Artaban had lost his second gift, but he had gained a life. If this story is stirring something inside you, as much as it did for me when I discovered it, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Here we explore fascinating stories that make you see the world differently. Don't miss the ending of this tale, because the best is yet to come. The years passed. 10, 20, 30 years. Artaban never stopped searching for the king. He traveled through cities and towns, always asking, always searching. In each place, he found people in need, hungry, sick, prisoners, slaves. And on each occasion, Artaban helped. He used his resources, his time, his energy. Little by little, the money he had left ran out, but his faith never diminished. He was convinced that someday he would find the king. With each act of kindness, Artaban felt a strange sensation, as if he were getting closer to his goal, although physically he seemed farther away than ever. It was a paradox he couldn't understand. Finally, 33 years after beginning his search, he arrived in Jerusalem during Passover. The streets were packed. There was unusual commotion. People were talking about a man who was going to be crucified, a prophet from Nazareth who called himself King of the Jews. Artaban's heart skipped a beat. Could it be? After so many years, had he finally found him? Artaban ran toward Golgotha, the place of crucifixion. He still carried the pearl with him, his last treasure, his last chance to present a worthy gift to the king. He was determined to use that pearl to bribe the Roman guards, to try to buy that man's freedom. But on the way, amid the chaos and the crowd, he heard a desperate scream. A young woman was being dragged by slave traders. Her eyes pleaded for help. Her parents had died, and she would be sold to pay their debts. Artaban stopped. He looked toward Golgotha. He looked at the young woman. And for the last time, he made the same decision he had made for 33 years. He gave away the pearl. The young woman was freed. Artaban fell to his knees, exhausted, defeated. He had failed. After a lifetime searching for the king, he had never presented him a single gift. He had arrived too late, and now he had nothing to offer. It was then that the earth shook. Darkness covered the sky. Artaban felt his life fading, his aged body finally giving in after such a long journey. And in that moment, he heard a voice he recognized immediately, though he had never heard it before. It was warm, filled with infinite love. The voice told him, "Artaban, you have been searching for me your entire life. And your entire life you have been finding me. When you helped the sick man, I was there. When you saved the child, you saved me. When you freed the slaves, you freed me. When you fed the hungry, you fed me. Everything you did for the least of my brothers, you did for me. Your gifts were received. Your search is over." Artaban smiled. He finally understood. He had found the king not at the end of his journey, but in every step along the way. In every face in need had been the divine presence he had been seeking so much. The fourth wise man closed his eyes in peace, knowing that his life had not been in vain, that each decision, each sacrifice, each moment of compassion had been exactly what the true king expected of him. This story of the fourth wise man teaches us something profound, that sometimes we seek the divine in distant places, in extraordinary moments, when in reality it's present in every act of kindness, in every gesture of compassion, in every moment where we choose love over our own convenience. Artaban thought he had failed because he never made it to the manger with his gifts. But in reality, he was the only one who truly understood the message. Because the real gift isn't what we carry in our hands, but what we do with our hands. If this story has touched your heart as it touched mine, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more content that will make you think and feel. And now I ask you a question. How many times have we been so obsessed with reaching our goal that we missed what was really important along the way? Leave me your answer in the comments. See you in the next video. Remember, sometimes arriving late to your destination means arriving right on time to where you really need to be.